Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's webinar about finance tools and insight with freelancers with Torben from our partner Qonto. I'm Nick. I'm working, for those who don't know me yet, I'm working for Uplink as a business development manager, and besides some other tasks, I also have the pleasure to organize some events and webinars with our partners like today. For those who don't know us yet, we are a network of IT freelancers. We were founded in 2016 by Manuel, and we're kind of an alternative to classical IT recruiters. So if you don't know us, you can join us and check out our website. I'm more than happy that we can cooperate with Qonto, especially because now they offer an innovative business account for freelancers and much more things Tom will tell you more about. If you have any technical problems or can't hear me, you can always use the chat. And for the Q&A part, you have the possibility to ask some questions with that button in the toolbar, ask a question, and also about the questions of the others. And I'm sure we can answer all the questions in advance. So now, Torben, I think the stage is yours, and maybe all of you're already invited to give some hints in the chat as well. What are the main topics you're keen, and the main topics you want to talk about? Then we can, especially talk about these things. So, Torben, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Nick. I'm very excited to be here. Thanks so much for joining this webinar at such a late hour, and I'm really excited to talk to you, everyone, and to have a discussion about how Qonto can help you, what your needs are, also as freelancers. As you, Nick, already said, we're partnering with Uplink, and we're a B2B FinTech. We're offering business bank accounts for freelancers, for small and medium-sized enterprises, and for startups and founders. And that's why we're also particularly interested in you as freelancers and to understand what you need, how we can help you best. But today we want to talk about the finance tools and insights for freelancers. We want to give you a bit of an overview of how we see the freelancing market in Germany in 2021, especially in the face of the pandemic. And we also want to talk about tools and advice, meaning at the beginning, just thinking about, okay, what kind of needs do you have? What kind of tools do you need? And of course, we also want to explain to you how Qonto can help you. Maybe a few words about me. I'm Torben. I'm the country manager for Qonto. I joined Qonto last year. Before I started my career in the fintech space, I joined Rocket Internet when they incubated Lendico, which was a peer-to-peer lending company back then. And after some crazy growth, I decided to still do my master's in France, and I had some connection then in France with the tech scene there as well. But after my studies, I worked first in management consulting, working mostly for the financial services sector and their digital efforts. Then did something completely different. I worked for Bird, a micromobility company. You might have seen those black e-scooters in Berlin or in any other city in Germany. And I did the rollout in southern Germany and Austria, which was something completely different, very hands-on, and actually something you can touch. But then after a while, I realized that I wanted to go back to fintech for several reasons. I think fintech is something that everyone needs, both in the private life, but also in the business life, which we will talk about today. I think it can make people's lives a lot better by focusing on what matters most, which is also what we're trying to do at Qonto. So basically, we want to be the all-in-one finance solution for you, so you can focus on what matters, creating value for your clients and customers, and making finance basically something that you don't need to think about it a lot. That's it about myself. But at the very beginning, I just want to take a moment, step back a little bit, and just want to know why you joined this call today, why this topic, maybe about tools, is important for you. And so, yeah, happy for your questions to let them know. And I will write them down as well. Maybe some we already cover in the next few slides, but I also want to take the time at the end for some Q&A. Perhaps about what the main challenges are for you as freelancers, and what you think might help you as well. Yeah. I think, Nick, you are starting a poll, right?
Yeah, so you can either like reach out in the chat or like ask a question. There's already the first one. The first one said like, I'm here to understand and get to know how to save money and time as a freelancer. So basically that's your hot topic.
Yes, exactly. All right, that's already a good one, and we'll cover that in the presentation, hopefully. Yeah, that's already a very good one.
And the other one is like, can Qonto make it easier for me to collect payments from customers?
Collecting payments. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's something, especially when you have like multiple clients.
Yeah, that's also a very, very important topic. So, yeah, on the save money and time part, I think we will talk about that when we introduce Qonto a little bit more. On the collecting the payments, we call this kind of get paid, and that is something that we focus on in the next few weeks and months. So far, we don't offer a lot in that space, to be honest, but we're very fast. So that can only be a matter of weeks or months for you. All right, but maybe before we do that, let's have a quick look at how we think about the startup and freelance industry in Germany during the lockdown until now, and what the current challenges are. All right, but first about Qonto, I already said, okay, how did we come about creating what we are doing today? So basically, our two founders, Alex and Steve, you see them here. They're both French. They founded their own company before. They worked together, and while they did that, they realized that the business bank account that they had was not up to the standard that they actually needed. So they were a bit frustrated about it. It took a long time to open the bank account first. It was very non-digital in that sense, and not up to what they actually needed. So they set out to build their own, and now they're saying that Qonto is more than just a bank account. We basically want to be the all-in-one finance solution that puts your business finance management on autopilot, meaning that you don't have to worry about it too much, and that you can really focus on what matters. And that is also what our mission is. So we are creating the finance solution all businesses love. It's not just about the bank account. It's also about integrating solutions, maybe other ones that are out there, and also kind of offering vertical tools that you can use for your needs. Just a bit about ourselves. We started in 2016. Since then, we've seen tremendous growth. You can see some of the numbers here. What I would like to point out is we're at 200,000 business customers now in 4 markets: France, Germany, Italy, and Spain. We started, of course, in France, as Alex and Steve are from there, but then very quickly moved to the international markets almost at the same time. We're a team of 450 people at the moment, so that has increased significantly. And of course, we're also working with freelancers and also IT freelancers. So curious to know if you had any questions about that, how we are building the team there, and what we're doing in that regard. Like I said at the very beginning, we focus on freelancers on the one hand, but also a bit the bigger companies, SMEs and startups. So the idea here is to really grow. You can start as a freelancer, but you can also, if after some time you found your own company, you have some employees, you can also do that within Qonto. not only change your legal entity or legal form, but you can also adapt the services that you need from Qonto and the price that you want. We also help incorporating companies. So if you're a GmbH or G in Germany and you're incorporating that entity, then we can already offer you a business bank account, which you need actually for that process. And a lot of our customers use that service as well, because it's surprisingly time consuming to do that in Germany. And it's the part of the incorporation process that usually takes the longest. So we're really happy to help these founders on their journey and then grow with us. So why would you consider Qonto? Well, on the one hand, it's a killer product. I'll talk about that a little bit more. It tailors to your needs, and it's an integrated solution, meaning that if you're using something else, like Zefdesk, for example, Accountable, then you can connect, or Datev even, you can connect that with your Qonto bank account to not have to worry about it. That's what we're trying to do. At the same time, our customer support is really rated top-notch in the neobanking sector, 7 days a week available via email, chat, and phone. So that's really important to us, and I think that's also very important for our European customers. And I talked a little bit about pricing, just to say that it's transparent. It gives you the different options that you need, and according to that, there's different price plans that you can choose from. And if ever you need more, for example, you have a bigger team and you want to invite your team members to it, you can adapt that very easily. Or if you want to order more cards, that's also no issue at all. You can do that with one click. And our customers are also really happy. So those numbers are for Germany. So we've got a net promoter score of 65 and more. So that means that a lot of our customers would also recommend us. And at the same time, when you look at the reviews on Trustpilot, which we look at closely, is also the best rating in the German fintech sector. So that's, and even in Europe, I think, as well. So we're really proud of that, and we're happy to not only grow, but grow with satisfied customers. And now I want to talk about the freelance and startup industry in Germany a little bit. So I think what we've seen so far with our customers, and also looking at the market overall, is that the economy now is relatively stable and recovering from the lockdown. And we've seen it in the startup space, at least, that there's a lot of growth happening in certain industries and certain verticals that have benefited from Corona, but also other industries coming back. So overall, we see that the startup industry in Germany has become stronger, and there's a lot of money also going around if you are looking at the news. And at the same time, on the freelancer side, when you look at certain reports, the freelancers are well booked in 2020, but also in 2021. I think overall the demand has increased by around about 5% in Germany year over year. And companies more and more are also happy for external input. And I'll talk about some of the great benefits that many companies do see in freelancers and also IT freelancers, because they do have a strong network and companies are happy for external input. Freelancers usually bring great spirit and knowledge into the teams and companies. And it's also, like I said, an important source for knowledge. And we do see that at Qonto as well. When I look at our product team, for example, when I look at our tech team, there's many experts that are working as freelancers that have a very expertise on a very specific topic. Let's say, for example, integrations or some other topics that are needed for us, and we're happy to partner with freelancers in that regard. And many of them have also other projects in the no-code space, for example. I know that one of our freelancers is working on that and is very excited to do both in that sense. So I think overall, when I look at one study by Computerwoche, I think it was together with Hayes from this year, it is that the relevance of freelancers and also especially IT freelancers has increased. And within the IT space, the share of the workers that are freelancers is relatively high and remaining at a high level. And at the same time, employees are also kind of full-time employees also demand more flexibility now since the lockdown. And that means freelancers are also hired to fill the gaps in that sense a little bit. And why is that great? Because freelancers have a lot to bring to the company. So often they have better know-how, and they have so most of the time, very valuable experience from different areas, paired with a deep knowledge on a certain topic that is very valuable for internal teams. Would be very hard to bring it on organically. It also means that there's a new working culture on the internal needs. So like I said, the flexibility part of it increases the need of external manpower. Externals often inspire the team as well. At least we see that at Qonto, and curious to know if it's the same for you. Lower staffing and personnel cost depends, of course, right? But it is usually a win-win situation in that front. So there are a lot of advantages that you are bringing to the companies that I just wanted to emphasize here. So thank you for that. And at the same time, at least the talks that we have with freelancers and both as customers, but also just in the general space, we just recently were able to onboard Freiberufler as well. Before it was only Selbstständige. So we dealt with this topic quite a bit, trying to understand what the different needs are. And it became clear to us that being a freelancer has some challenges and disadvantages sometimes that freelancers say themselves. So there is a lot about acquisition, basically, and also about work-life balance. Many of these challenges have to do with organizing yourself and organizing the work with the client. But it's also about accounting, one of the challenges here, as well as the fluctuating income. So basically managing over time the liquidity that many mention. And that is something where Qonto can help. I will talk about that in a little bit. And also one thing that I wanted to mention is that also became clear from that study is that 35% of the freelancers in Germany that were in that study from this year speak about an increased stress volume within their projects when compared to before the pandemic. And they also complain about administrative work that is becoming more and more. So on the one hand, there is a lot of demand. Maybe some companies have shrunk their team sizes and have increased working with freelancers, which is good in the sense that there's a lot of demand, but also sometimes it's difficult as a freelancer because the expectation level is also higher if the team size overall is smaller. So the pressure is just basically being put on the external freelancers. And that's why, this increased pressure means that some freelancers are only able to serve a reduced number of customers in their portfolio or projects and kind of get into this dependency. But I'm also curious to know from you firsthand how your experience is on that. I don't know if you want to share something on that front. Does that align with what you're seeing in your work? Also in the administrative work.
So if someone wants to give some insights, just figure up, and then I can put you on stage.
Okay,
as well.
We can also do it later if it's too complicated. But what does become clear in that sense is that due to the disadvantages and challenges that I talked about, and also the increased pressure in that sense, it's really important to manage your time well and to not spend it on administrative work. So it's becoming more and more important to use tools effectively in order not to spiral into, and still being able to have different projects so you can utilize your capacity effectively and efficiently. Yeah. And that's exactly, I think, the question that was there as well. Saving money and time is actually important, and that's why I think finance solutions are becoming more and more important for freelancers. So I think on the one hand, time management, like I said, is really important. So you need to win time, and you need to be the master of your bookkeeping and administrative work. Meaning not spending too much time on it, but still it being accurate. At the same time, you need to control your expenses. So you need to see, okay, how much am I actually spending? What tools am I spending money on? And so on. And that allows you also to be more productive because you're using that time elsewhere. You're using it on client work. You're using it on maybe client acquisition as well for your next gig. So that's really important. And that ultimately leads also to more growth. So you can, when you focus on your business and creating value, that obviously means that you can grow your business much more. And I just wanted to take the time and talk about one of our customers, Free2Go, which is, just side note, not a freelancer, but a very small company. They started with us as an incorporating company, so we helped them with the incorporation of the company, and they were super happy with the super easy and fast account opening. It took 10 minutes to register. They were really happy with the customer support. So they were already on the platform. They were able to say to the notary, look, I've created my bank account. But then they also continued the journey with us and managed their daily finances. They really like the instant notifications when something is happening. They can use it to their advantage. They also really enjoy the Slack integration, meaning that they can integrate it into their Slack channels, communicate about it. They can also send their expenses or receipts through Slack, through email, that get automatically matched with your Qonto transactions. So they're scanned and then matched. So you can also do that with the app. You can, when you have like a business expense, you can just take a photo. It gets scanned and is also GOBD conform. That means you don't need the paper receipt anymore, and they really valued that. And they also use cards for their expenses. So they use both the virtual cards, but also the physical cards. And they use also premium cards with us because they're saying they're spending on Google, for example, in US dollars. And that foreign exchange rate is very favorable with us, with the premium cards. So they really need that card, and they're happy that we offer it. And they are also using Apple Pay and Google Pay, which we're offering. But how can Qonto help freelancers to save time and basically, I call it headspace, just basically ease and peace of mind to be able to serve your customers most? And I think it's 3.5 things. One is the banking services. Of course, you need the banking services. You want not to compromise on that. So that's really important. And so we offer a German IBAN. You can open it in 10 minutes. We offer MasterCard cards for free. You can also order premium cards if you need them. You can order virtual cards, which you can then pretty easily maybe use for different accounts, different expenses. Payments, of course, and credit, which we have integrations with iWorker in Germany. On the finance tool side, maybe the first thing that's really useful for you, if you have different different projects at the moment, you can just very easily, with one click, create sub-accounts with different IBANs, and you can just use them to organize yourself. Has this money arrived? What are the expenses on that account? What do I need to expense? What do I need to use? So that's really easy. And bigger companies, it's often with departments. So maybe there's a marketing team, there's a sales team, and so on, and you give cards to within that sub-account. But for you as a freelancer, what we see with our customers is many use it to organize themselves with different sub-accounts, and they're really happy to do it because it helps you to keep track and to kind of distinguish between the projects as well. You can also use it to give access to your tax advisor directly and define what the tax advisor sees and doesn't see. So that's really useful for many of our customers as well. You don't need to send, you don't need to print out. You can just give access with a specific role that the tax advisor has, the Steuerberater, and then the Steuerberater can take that information and use it to prepare whatever report is necessary. You can also basically see all your transactions, of course, in real time, and you can have all your transactions in one place. You can also see them through the app, so it doesn't really matter whether it's website or app. For sub-accounts, what I didn't mention is you can also use it for Rücklagen for the taxes. So you can find handy ways to do it. And of course, on the expense side, you can see, okay, what is missing for which transaction. You can filter what expenses are missing, where do I need receipts, and so on. So that's usually very useful, and you can use it also for cash flow modeling in that sense. So you can see what's coming in the next few months. On the integration side, our approach is what we don't do well ourselves, we integrate with and partner with. So we do have what's important for you, maybe a really, really good integration with Datev, where you can just sync your transactions. That helps usually with the coordination with the tax advisor. With Accountable, for example, we have this partnership. Accountable, for those of you who don't know it, they offer you basically support in your tax declarations as well. And we also have other tools like Sorted, for example, or Zefdesk, which many of you might use as well. There's many more. We have over 40 integrations that you can use. You can also do it on your own. So if you have a Google Sheet, you can easily link it. It gets automatically filled. So there's some handy no-code solutions that we offer as well. So that's how, in a nutshell, we think about it. So the platform is basically the enabler, both for bigger companies where you have approval flows maybe, but also for you just to enable you to be organized and not to spend too much time on it, not to think about it too much. I think the finance management should really be a means to an end. It shouldn't be the main thing that you do. Yeah. So that's already it from my side so far. So I'm really curious to hear your questions and what you're interested in.
Yeah, so let's see what the crowd is interested in. And also, it's so nice to see that you are basically partnering with the same text and accounting softwares as we do, because we're also like convinced of the partners that they provide a great service. And obviously, I think, especially in that financial world, it's so nice to see that everything gets more and more connected. And I know that for companies and startups, it's always like quite a milestone to make these connections, because I think there are like much more rules to partner than for normal companies when you partner with, like when you have a partnership or something. But it's so nice to see that the whole world there is also getting more and more connected to offer like great service from one hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also an approach that we had to learn over time. Mm-hmm. Basically, if you're a freelancer and you're used to working with a certain tool, then we shouldn't force the customer to basically do something else. It's really about integrating what works well for the customer. And I think that's key. So if you're also seeing something that's missing, please let me know, because we're now able to integrate much faster. Usually it takes us a week to integrate these solutions. Yeah.
Cool. So the first question is, doing monthly taxes based on incoming and outgoing payments can take a lot of time when doing it manually. Can Qonto help with that? It's basically, you kind of already answered it, right?
Based on incoming and outgoing. So what we do is enabling you to kind of put tags to it, put to the relevant transactions, so you can organize it. What we also, so you can, for example, use the tags to have a certain account structure. And what we also do is we have the integration with Dativ. So that usually is the way most of our customers do it in Germany, is to have that integration and then sync it and then work with a tax advisor. What we don't do is try to replace the tax advisor in that sense. We just want to reduce the time it takes for both parties, this back and forth, which usually takes the longest time and also ends up in higher costs, because the tax advisor says, look, I need that many hours to prepare your account. So usually the more organized you are, the better in that sense.
The next one is, I think, especially for freelancers who have like many different clients, can Qonto make it easier for me to collect payments from customers? I think it's based on like the invoicing.
Yeah, exactly. So also curious to know what you would expect from that solution. So we're really looking into this, and this is something that is basically really high on our priority list as well, because we do realize that that's really invoicing on the one hand, but also following up and making sure that late payments get collected is really something that would be of value for sure. It's a powerful combination. Yeah.
Cool. And also, are there like integrations with third-party providers such as Stripe, for example? You already mentioned a few.
Yeah. Yes, so Stripe we do have. It's currently in beta, but we're launching it full scale very soon. So that allows you also to make your business finance management even better. So there's exciting things coming, both on the Stripe side. Also, if you maybe for some reason have an e-commerce shop, there's a Shopify integration. So there's a lot of things coming that make this platform approach so interesting, because you can directly manage in real time your finances in that sense. Yeah.
Great. So now we're coming to the salty questions. What makes Qonto as unique, making me switch, for example, from other providers like Contest?
Yeah. It's a good question, especially as a freelancer. I think there's some providers out there that focus only on freelancers, and for us, we want to be the finance solution that all companies love. That includes freelancers, but that also includes bigger companies. So it's a valid question. I think what we're trying to do is be really the all-in-one finance solution. So meaning it will be much more integrated, and it already is. For different use cases, for different integrations. So we can offer you that integrated approach much more than, for example, Contest does. What Contest does well, to be honest, is the work on the tax advisor. What Contest maybe doesn't do well, and I hope there's no journalist in the room, and this is a headline tomorrow. But basically, it's built on an existing core banking system from a third party with their solution on top, where they realized, okay, maybe this is not enough. We need to move more into tax declaration and tax advisor. But at the core, the bank account itself is suffering from that. So what we have is our own core banking system, which took us a long time to build, but it allows us to offer you banking services much more reliably, and it allows us that our features, whatever we launch, is also much more integrated in that sense. So if you are our customer, we don't rely on a third party, on server outages there, or some technical difficulties in the integration. So that's maybe another difference. And the other one is customer support. So I don't know any player in Germany that offers that level of customer support 7 days a week with that customer satisfaction. And I think that's incredibly important if you're working on your own time. Maybe you don't work from Monday to Friday, but maybe you work on other days. That is really important to have, and that's what we offer. So I would say it is, obviously there are players out there and there's great solutions out there, but if you're looking for the solution that is really reliable, that gives you great customer support, and that allows you also to grow, right? So let's say you're a freelancer now, but you have found like something where you think it might make sense to work together with a team, then you are also able to grow within that and have different functionalities from our side. Yeah.
Cool. I think especially in customer service with many providers out there, it's the same, that they're basically available when all of us are working as well, and then you never know when to call them. Yeah. The next question is that kind of the same as you already distinguished yourself from, like Qontis. Does Qonto give me an automatic tax preview, as in how much is my yearly income tax? I think I saw something like similar sometimes when I send invoices to freelancers and they're showing me like they're paid when they receive the amount from the clients is sometimes like, I don't know, for example, it's 10,000, it's like 6,000 is for you, 4,000 taxes and other stuff.
Yeah. It's a good question. And I think that's also something that we will develop towards. And we don't offer that yet, to be honest, but it's something we have on our radar as well, because we do realize that this gives you much more visibility also on your what you need to pay, what you will get back. And that's incredibly important if you want to manage your finance as well. Yeah.
Nice.
And there's always the option to do the integration, right? So may it be LexOffice, Zepdesk, and so on. There's some partners out there that also offer such functionality. So again, we don't want to be the one saying no, please use our solution in that sense, but we rather would like to partner in that sense.
Mm-hmm. And when you're working on the whole tax thing, do you also plan to create automatically the Rücklagen, so the savings you need, the money you should save for taxes?
So that would be the idea. Yeah. So it's something that's very specific, maybe to the different market, because the tax systems also work differently. So it's something that we would consider for the German market exclusively, and maybe do like an alternative version in the other countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
So that's a really, really interesting point. Yeah.
Nice. And is Qonto capable of working with foreign currencies?
Yes. So we are able to work with foreign currencies. As we understand ourselves as a European solution, our default is Euro, but we do have a lot of customers that also export, that do businesses in other countries, maybe China, maybe the US, or some other markets. I think I saw a customer the other day that had shops in Norway and in Poland maybe, and it's really interesting. Yes, we do offer that, and we do also offer good exchange rates, low fees for that, if you're dealing with that. Again, it's also a matter of cards as well. So if you have often expenses in a foreign currency, I encourage you to also look at that option, because it can significantly save you money compared to other competitors out there that charge relatively high fees on that.
So it's absolutely like when freelancers are like digital nomads and moving around in Europe, it's for them like easy to have access to like cash and money also abroad without high fees.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
amazing. And which bank are you partnering with in order to provide the bank account?
Yeah. So we do have basically everything in-house. We do have a payment institution license, and we're supervised in Germany by the BaFin. Deposits are guaranteed. That's not the issue. We do have our deposits at a partner bank, that is Archea. I don't know if you know them, they're in France. But yeah, that is our partner bank. But maybe what's different compared to other banks or neobanks, for example, Penta or other players, they do work very closely with Solaris Bank, for example. And I think many of them realize that this might not be the model that they want to go with in the long term, because they do not own fully the customer in that sense. They are not able to respond to certain incidents that the client has, because it's more on the Solaris Bank side. So that's really a disadvantage for many of them. And I think even Solaris Bank itself, until recently, used a third-party provider themselves. So it's a third party of the third party.
Wow.
So that creates a lot of complexity. And we realized relatively early on that we want to do it on our own. It was a huge project. We worked with a core banking system, Trésor, it was back in the day. And then we built our own, and we had to migrate the customers. And there was a big project. It was a big strategic decision as well. But ultimately, I think we made the right choice in doing that.
Cool. So now the next question, is there a special deal for the Uplink community? I think our community is too spoiled, knowing already that every time we're organizing a webinar, they kind of get something. But of course, in this case as well, you can always see the exact deal in our partner backend. And if you're not a freelancer of Uplink, you can simply register. And I think in this case, it's like you get 4 months for free of the basic plan from Qonto and 2 months for free of the essential part of Qonto. So you can kind of check out how it works and can have your trial.
Yeah.
And now you can't see already the details, because as always I will share with you the details of the deal after the webinar.
Exactly. And if you have any comments or questions that are maybe afterwards you think of a question or a comment on something that would really help you as a feature, we're always looking to talk to you. And that's why I included my email address in here as well. So it's my first name dot last name at qonto.com. Happy to help and get connected as well.
Nice. And then we have already the question, which is basically like, hopefully it's not happening. How easy would it be to quit Qonto if I would not be happy with it? Long process or rather one click process?
Rather one click process. So we do have monthly subscriptions. That's how we work, and it's relatively easy to close your bank account as well. I hope that you are super happy with us. Also, I would be keen to know why you wouldn't be happy. But yeah, the process is relatively simple in that sense. And I know that I've experienced it myself from my private bank accounts with different banks. I don't do it usually because I don't know how and because it takes very long. But that's not our philosophy. We want to. If we don't help the customer anymore, then there's no sense in that sense to stick and make you stay in that sense. Yeah.
Especially because I think you can kind of grow with Qonto, which is very nice. Because what I often hear kind of when the discussion also in our community are when I'm a freelancer and then I change and I'm like a small startup or something, and then I check out the conditions with my house bank or something. It's sometimes insane how much money they want if you just switch from a normal bank account to a business account, and you're like, but why? It's just like a bit more money coming in and no more work for them. So that's always like, often I feel like the reason why people decide to change the bank.
Interesting. And do you are there also freelancers out there that only use their private account also for their freelancing activity, or are you always separating it from your part? Just curious to know.
Yeah, maybe you can. Okay, Matthias
it.
says he's splitting it. Yeah, I think most of them, from my experience, I never heard they're using the same account. Maybe when they start and they just have like one big client and working in full time, it's easier to split it. But normally with all the costs, it's also like nicer for the mind to split it. And yeah.
Also, I think in terms of information that you share, maybe with the tax advisor and so on, it can also be good to split it. Yeah, Marcella is saying private account, but a separate one for the tax. Okay, that also makes sense. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Then the next question, very interesting. Since when does Qonto exist? So when you were founded?
2016 was
like
when
us.
Alex. Oh yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So our co-founders Alex and Steve started working on this in 2016. They called the company at the beginning Olinda, which is a small city or island. I think it's an island in Brazil, because they both traveled there and they really liked it. I think our legal name up until today is still Olinda. But they decided to name the company Qonto, which is Esperanto, and it stands for bank account. So that's also very handy in German, and it's really the European approach in that sense. So we want to serve European customers, which is also maybe interesting for you guys if you're working in different countries. Maybe that's also relevant. Yeah. So since then, it's been a journey, and I think in 2018 it was when we grew massively. I think we grew from 80 people to 150. And there was also when we realized that we needed to change a little bit how we are working, because all of a sudden, instead of providing kind of 80% of the time providing value, it was 80% of the time rework. There were all of a sudden silos and so on. So we realized, okay, we need to change something in order to spend our time not on waste and rework. And that's why we've implemented since then kind of our own way of working together. We call it the Qonto way. And it's basically lean principles that we take from the Toyota production system. And that really helps us to organize ourselves, to make sure that everyone is aligned. It also makes sure that you don't work and then it's discarded because the other team maybe doesn't need it anymore. So that personally, I think that really helps us to drive a lot of this innovation and work really fast, and to keep everyone motivated.
Cool. And what is your vision like for 2022? I mean, you already said like there are many things up to come. I think it's really cool that in the end you have kind of like a toolbox and can select like the different providers you want to use and connect everything.
Exactly. So I think it's basically being even stronger on the proposition to be in the all-in-one finance solution. So, for example, what you folks already mentioned on getting paid, collecting payments, that is something that we want to do. It's also much like maybe more integrations, also deeper integrations that allow us really to have this platform approach even further. And it's about doubling down on the team management part of it. So being able to pay with different cards, and that's basically our focus.
So lots of things to do.
Lots of things to do, lots of exciting things to come. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
And are there any best practices on connecting Qonto with, for example, external tax solutions like TaxFix? You mean for the tax declaration, I think, right? TaxFix, I think it's an app to make just a tax.
Yeah.
It's not an accounting software.
Yeah. I think, yeah, so for TaxFix, we don't have a direct integration yet, because TaxFix is mostly focused on B2C, if I'm not mistaken. That's why we haven't considered it yet. But what you can always do is we have a fairly deep integration with Integromat or Zapier, where a lot of these players are also on. So you can actually connect it yourself if you want to, with a few clicks. So I'm not sure if TaxFix is on that, but I'm pretty sure. So if you really need that, you can check it out with Integromat or with Zapier with a Z. That's usually also worth looking at. Yeah, I think that's also where the future is heading in general. Kind of embedding the finance process in a lot of different things, and being kind of the facilitator for that.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, a really salty question, but I think you already kind of explained it a bit. Could you quickly give a short comparison between Zefdesk and Qonto? Would I still need Zefdesk, which is an accounting software, of course, when using Qonto?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. Obviously, Zefdesk is not a direct competitor for us, so I know what they do, but it's not. I don't watch them as closely as our main competitors. I think what Zefdesk is doing really well for freelancers, for solo entrepreneurs, for smaller companies, is being able to prepare everything for your tax advisor. We also do that through the integration with Datev and through the possibility to organize your accounts according to maybe the cost centers that you have on the different accounts, through tags that you can put, and through several other integrations that you can use as well. Zefdesk, of course, is really specialized in that sense, and we're moving more and more also to provide these solutions together. Yeah. But it's a fair question. I think our approach at the moment is not that we want to replace it. It's more that we want to make the work together much easier.
I see. Cool. Are there any more questions? Let's wait a second. I don't think so. So as we already mentioned, there's of course for all people who are part of the Uplink a great deal you can check out in the partner area at Uplink, and if you don't know us, of course you can check out and register, and also check out Qonto. I think maybe we can both put our email address as well in the chat, so you can easily reach out to us. Cool. And that's from my side. Thank you so much for your time and the great event. I think it was very, very an enrichment and a very good opportunity to get like really into the topic. Like really rarely you have the possibility to ask all these questions. So thank you so much, and have a great evening.
Thanks so much for having me. And like I said, feel free to reach out if you have any more comments or questions. We're very curious to learn from you as well.
See you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Nick.
Bye.
Bye-bye.